Eye problems can be prevented if only you have some essential tips or habits that can help you keep your eyes very good. Well, like I said before now, I have right here with me Dr. Ola Kokola Olaleri. Good to have you join us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so today we want to look at eye care tips, and I'd like to start with, why is it even necessary for us to have these tips in the first place?
My simple answer, you have just a pair of eyes. You don't have a substitute. So why not take care of them? Yeah, it's extremely necessary to have proper eye care, because if you lose your eye or the pair, as is in the case for some people, there's really no way to get an alternative pair. So it's imperative that we take proper care of our eyes.
All right, so what are these tips you mind sharing with us?
There were quite a number of them, but the first thing I always say to people is always schedule an eye exam. And for every individual or for different age range, there's a schedule, or there's a time frame for which you can have your eye exams done. For example, the first eye exam of a child should be at 6 months after birth.
And why is that?
Because you need to know the status of the eyes of the child. Some children are born and their parents don't realize that they don't even have any form of vision until they're older, or until they get into preschool. So how do we find out those children who do not have vision, or whose vision is impaired on time? We check them from the age of 6 months. Okay. That's the only way you can find out that this child sees well or doesn't. So 6 months is the first time that every human should have an eye exam. After that, preschool. Most children are ready to go to preschool at age 3. Some people here in Nigeria would go to preschool at age 2. But generally, age 3, before the child gets into preschool, they should have a comprehensive eye exam.
Why is that necessary at this point?
Because at preschool, they're going to be using their eyes. They're going to be dealing with colors. They're going to be picking out letters. It's a lot of play and fun. Now, when a child cannot see what his peers are seeing, that becomes a source of disturbance for them.
Okay.
You get it reduces the learning of the child, and it discourages them. So imagine that you're having a class of 10 children and they say, what color is it? They've taught them the colors. What color is this? And others can identify colors, and that child is not. Or they're starting to learn numbers, and there are charts. At that age, they pretty much do things are colorful and playful and all that, and they watch a lot of children's movies and all, and they can't see these things clearly. The child starts to feel left out. Mm-hmm. The child starts to feel like he doesn't belong, or he or she doesn't belong to the group. So that affects them. It even affects them emotionally. So we say every child, before they get into preschool, should get their eyes examined. Some schools actually do make it a requirement.
Oh.
So usually when the school session is about to start, at the start of a new school year, there are some schools who send their children out. We have a lot of patients who come, we examine them, and we give a report whether the eyes are good or not, and we send a report back to the school so they know how to help the child.
Now, let me come in here. Talking about preschool, that means at that point, the child probably doesn't know colors or something like that.
Well, yes. So the way we examine preschool children.
Okay, here's why I'm asking. I'm asking because if it requires them to cooperate with you, like, okay, while you're examining them, you ask them what color is this, so you know if they can recognize colors. Would that work? Because they're children. Some of them may not even know these colors yet.
Okay, so when we examine them, and I was going to answer that question.
Okay.
When we examine, there are different ways to examine them. We don't necessarily use colors. They have charts.
Okay.
We have charts that they can read that are age appropriate, and there are examinations that are appropriate for that age. Yes. So after preschool, the next age where a child should get examined will be at the start of secondary school.
Okay, and why is that?
Now, depending on what is discovered at age preschool,
okay,
the child may be required to come in after a year or every 2 years. In fact, after the preschool examination, every human should now be scheduled for an eye examination every 2 years. Right?
With
yes.
or without any discovery?
With or without. Yeah, because things change. Our bodies change. A child who will be myopic might not be picked at that stage. It could be when the child is 8 or 9 and we begin to see that there is things are coming up. So the aim of this is to be able to diagnose conditions early enough. For children, let me go back to children at birth. There are conditions that they come with, that they were born with.
Congenital.
Yes, congenital conditions. There is no way to find out if you don't examine the child close to birth. Do you understand? So that's why so after preschool, every 2 years, every human should come in for, but then the clause to that is that whatever is diagnosed at every time when you visit will determine the interval in which your visit will now be. If it's going to be normal, 2 years, or we're going to say see us every 6 months or thereabout. But yes, from that. And then when you now get into adulthood, because there are now conditions that people have in adulthood that require frequent management. So that will also determine when you will come in. So by the time people get to 40, the frequency is reduced. You get, some people can come in as much as 3 times in a year, some every month, depending on what the condition is.
All right, still talking about eye care tips. What about, do we need to protect our eyes from sunlight?
Definitely. And this is a song I will not stop singing. You don't have any business going outdoors if you don't have protective eyewear. Interestingly, the sunglasses can be fashionable. So you can wear a pair of sunglasses that look pretty good while it's doing its work. So it's like you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're looking good and you're protecting your eyes. So it can't, when people say, I don't like to wear glasses over my face, why don't you make it look fashionable? Why don't you make it look appealing? You know, if that is what will attract, that will convince you or motivate you, that's the word, to put them on. So the sun these days is really, 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 really harsh. And I would say that get proper eyeglasses that are recommended for the sun. You can get your doctor.
I was going to come there because, I mean, we see these things on the streets. Can we buy them on the roadside? Or do we have to see a doctor, like an optician or optometrist?
Too. Yeah, so to get the proper eye sunglasses, I would say you get from your doctor. And here's the reason why. When the ones you have what we call the UVA and the UVB rays. Every sunglasses that you buy that will protect you should give you at least 95% protection from the UV light. If you buy off the street, you're not sure what it is that you're buying. But if you buy from an eye care professional, you can bet that you're going to get, because sometimes these things that are manufactured, you can buy a pair of sunglasses that will have your spectacle prescription attached to it, right? So it is your pair of glasses, but it has some protection in it. You can't get that off the street. Do you get? So if I have, for example, if I am long-sighted and I'm required to wear glasses, I would rather have that my glasses with UV protection for the sun, and then so the pair of glasses does.
Oh, it does.
Yes, it's multifunctional.
But can we have? There are also people who also talk about the fact that if you use devices a lot, you have to protect your eyes. So for someone who probably doesn't have any eye defect or something, can you combine the blue light glasses filter with the sunglass?
Absolutely. So the interesting thing, the technology is evolving. Eye care is evolving. So these things are coming to play. The lens manufacturers are every day they're coming up with new things, and so there's something for everyone. There's something, even if you don't have a refractive error and you just want to protect your eyes from your device, there are lenses for that. If you just want for the sun, there are lenses for that. If you want ones for driving at night, there are lenses for that. If you want for driving, for sun protection, for protecting you from your computer, all in one, it can be done. Do you understand? Yes. So for whatever it is that is the need that the patient has, it's available.
All right, I think this is quite interesting. Let's move on now. Are there ailments that could predispose a person to maybe any form of eye defect?
Yes, there are a number of ailments that can predispose you to eye conditions. Chief among them is hypertension. Um, People who are hypertensive can have secondary conditions, eye conditions like retinopathies, and those can make one lose their vision. Sometimes we find people who have high blood pressure also having glaucoma. People who have diabetes are more predisposed to having cataracts. People who have arthritis are also predisposed to having conditions like dry eye. There are lots of conditions that can predispose certain eye conditions, and if they are not properly managed, so for example, if you have diabetes and it's not properly managed, you can have what we call diabetic retinopathy, and by the time you get to that point, the eyes are pretty much gone. So we usually advise that when you have these conditions, you should be seeing your eye doctor to co-manage with your physician. Yeah.
All right, you've said a whole lot about some of the conditions that can predispose one to coming down with any eye issue, and you've talked about diabetes. What about the other conditions?
Well, the main thing or the important thing is that the patient, once they know that they have this, they need to see their eye doctors and then schedule regular appointments without even having any of these systemic conditions that can predispose eye disorders. Seeing your doctors alone can help save you a whole lot. Sometimes there are patients who don't know that they have conditions, for example, that their cholesterol level is high. And then when they come to the clinic during examination, we look at it as like, by the time we start to ask questions, we say, look, we're seeing that it seems that your cholesterol level might be high. You might want to see your doctor. And that's it. So there are cases where it is in the eye clinic that we tell them to go back to see their doctors, and then these things are because we've seen signs that changes are taking place, right? So that's so regular visits, regular eye exams can save you a whole lot, because we do ask lots of questions, and we take lots of records, and that helps us. So for people who don't know that they have certain conditions, they sometimes get to find out when they come to us. So it's an interesting thing. Yeah.
That's actually very true. I remember I once visited an eye clinic and they took history up to my grandfather, questions like, yeah, that's actually true. All right, let's still talking about eye care tips. There are people who talk about maybe there is the amount of light you should have in the home or in the room where you are. And there are those who also, basically a lot of persons talk about so many things. I'd like you to talk about that. And some say don't rub your eyes and all that your hands could be dirty.
Yeah.
Are they overboard or?
No, they're not overboard. So let me start with the rubbing of the eyes. The truth of the matter is that your hands carry bacteria. The eyes also have the normal bacteria that's like the normal, the good bacteria. So rubbing the eyes for people who have allergy and then they have to rub. What we say is look for different other ways to do that. Get to see your doctor, use anti-allergy eye drops rather than rubbing, because rubbing will increase the bacterial content and probably cause you to have an infection. And sometimes hand hygiene is not well done. So you see you'd have had contact with someone who probably has an infection, and then you rub your eyes. What you're doing is that you're introducing the bacteria you picked up from someone else into your eyes. So yeah, rubbing the eyes is not a very healthy habit, and we advise that people try not to rub their eyes as much as possible.
So what's the alternative? Because I may not have an allergy, but somehow I'm having this itch in my eyes. So what should I do?
Well, you can get a clean piece of tissue, clean, soft, those pocket tissues, and then just, the aim is not to have contact with
dirt,
with your hand, or you wash your hands if you have to. Like it's something that you really have to do. Wash your hands before you do that. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the light in the room. Properly light in the room.
So if not having proper light in the room, what that can do is to cause eye strain, Because really, you're reading in a dark room. You're straining to see whatever it is that you're reading. Whether it is hard print or it's on your device, you're going to strain. So proper lighting is very important, just because we don't want you to have to strain. And then when there's eye strain, it comes with things like headaches, eye aches, and discomfort. And sometimes for a while you may find out that you might have to take a rest. So yeah, that's why we advise that your room should be properly lit before you do any kind of work.
All right, I've also heard in some quarters where they say that if you're in the room, and I've been practicing it really, when I'm in the room, I ensure that the light is on before I can read from my laptop or from my phone. They say that it's not good for you to read from your phone while the light in the room is off.
Eye strain. Still what we talked about before, eye strain. You're going to exert a lot more effort. You're going to have to blink. There's lots of things that would cause eye strain. At the end of the day, you're getting headaches, you're getting eye aches. So it still boils down to eye strain. Yeah, we don't want you to have eye strain. That's why we say don't. When you have a room that is well lit, everything is clear, and you don't have to do extra work to see whatever material that you're reading. Yeah.
All right, just before we close, can you help us with one or two myths around eye care? Because, we hear a lot of things.
So one of the most interesting ones I hear is that it is not good for children to sit in front of the TV because it spoils their eyes. And I'm like, what? For a child to sit in front of the TV at all, that child is not seeing. It is because they don't see. That is why they're in front of the TV. So it is not the sitting in front of the TV that is making their eyes bad. It is because they are not seeing well, so they have to go close to the TV to make the images clearer. So that child should be taken to the doctor for the eyes to be checked out. The child is probably myopic, right? Yeah. So it is not the going to the TV that spoils the eye. It is because the child can't see. That is why they're going close to the TV. So that's a very interesting one, and parents need to pay particular attention to that.
All right, very quickly, let's also talk about people who use devices a lot. Is there something they need to do to protect their eye?
I would advise that they get glasses that are protected, either the anti-glare or have the blue light filter. We can't say this enough. Our devices are smarter and they keep getting smarter. The only way for you to protect your eye is to get something that will filter the amount of blue light that you take in. So the blue light filter, go to your doctor, request for a blue light filter, and it will be given to you. Even if you don't have a prescription, you can get a frame, and then lenses will be treated with a blue light filter, and you're good to go.
All right, talk to us about the 20-20-20 rule.
All right, so the 20-20-20 rule says that when you're working on your computer, you need to look away after 20 minutes at a distance of 20 feet approximately for 20 minutes. What that does is to
20
help...
20 minutes or 20 seconds?
For 20 seconds, sorry. After 20 minutes of working, look away at 20 feet for 20 seconds. Thank you for that. Yeah, so what that does is to help you to relax the eyes and everything to be calm, and then helps you. During that time, you can take a blink, just deliberately blink to lubricate the eyes.
Okay, that's fine. And what about some persons also talk about makeup, really talking about protecting your eyes, especially if you are one who applies makeup every day.
Okay, so applying makeup is very good, makes our ladies look very nice. However, I would advise that we clean up properly every day before you go to bed. The reason is because the debris from your eyeliner and mascara, particularly, these are the two culprits. The eyeliner and the mascara clog the tear ducts, and that can induce dry eye. And then for people who share makeup, you are putting yourself at risk of getting eye infections. And people really don't know this, but every makeup item has an expiry date. You should, for your eyeliner, you should not use more than 3 months. For your mascara, 2 months, and all of that. So you do the eyeliner, is best to use the ones that you can sharpen, so you remove the tip before each use, as against the ones that you just roll up. Yeah, so once you sharpen, you can remove the top layer and your risk of getting an infection is reduced. So once we can do all of those things, we'll pretty much be fine.
All right, I think we've had a great time speaking with you today. And just before we close, are there some tips, some other things you'd like to share with us, maybe as parents, as women, as men, and all
Eat
that?
well. Eat well. Eat foods that are rich in vitamin A, foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Take a lot of rest. Drop your phone before you sleep. Like 2 hours before you sleep, your phones should be put away. This enhances your sleep and helps your eyes to rest properly. Then parents, please take your children to see the eye doctor, the optometrist, as early as possible. During the holidays, those are opportunities for you to take them to go see the doctors. And then, well, live well.
All right, I wanted us to close, but you said something. You talked about vitamin A and omega-3 fatty acid rich food. Can you tell us or give us examples so we know?
You have all your vegetables, your colored vegetables, your leafy vegetables are rich in vitamin A. And then your fish oils are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. If you can't get it from your foods, you can get supplements.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thanks for sharing those beautiful thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we've been speaking with Dr. Kola Olalere, and I hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Perpetua Fasome Peter. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now. Till we see you again.